not a photographer, but a painter that we can use under artistic influence. So I'm going to talk about Auguste Renoir exhibition at the Musée d'Orsay, it's on until the 21st of July. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the exhibition. I'm going to talk about Renoir, the painter. I'm going to talk about his painting and how we can apply, how he's inviting us to be a different photographer. So stay tuned with me. So I first wanted to do a video about two exhibitions. One, Renoir in Love, and then Henri Rousseau, The Ambition of a Painter. But I thought it would not give justice to both exhibitions. So today I'm going to do Renoir, and in the next video I'm going to talk about Henri Rousseau. So why am I talking about Renoir? Because there is a large exhibition in Paris at the Musée d'Orsay. It's presenting about 50 artworks from Renoir, and it's on until the 21st of July. And the good news is this exhibition is also in partnership with the National Gallery in London, so it's coming to London later this year. I remember the feeling of happiness I had when I walked out of Renoir exhibition. It's just such a joyful feeling. Beautiful painting, beautiful. I think for me it was a bit work looking at photography, family photography, how people lived, but also how they enjoyed themselves, fleeting moments of joy. So let's talk a little bit about the exhibition first. So it's called Renoir in Love, Happy Modernity at the Musée d'Orsay, 21st of July 2026. This exhibition is marking the 150th anniversary of the Bal du Moulin de la Galette, and also it's the reunited 50 paintings which are normally spread around the world. So this is an amazing exhibition to see Renoir's work. And also, what is the context of this exhibition of the Renoir's painting? So this exhibition is covering paintings from 1865 to 1885, so about 20 years. But in these 20 years there was a lot happening in France. 1870s, 1871, France was in war with Prussia against Bismarck. They were convinced they would win, but they were really badly prepared and they lost very quickly. So Frédéric Bazet was a painter who lost his life in this battle, but also they lost Alsace-Lorraine in the process. Also, there was a huge civil war in Paris, the Commune, in 1871, so there was a lot going on. But Renoir decided not to focus on the political side. He wanted to focus on the joy, on the human connection. So the vibe of the exhibition, as I said, it's very joyful. He was focusing more on the joy, on the connection, representing his friends in the paintings. It's all about love. Most of his paintings, you have a few large paintings which are pretty famous, the Bal du Moulin de la Galette. But also, when he started painting, it was more small painting, which I'm going to show you here, about couples flirting. Musée d'Orsay is also running an exhibition about Renoir the Draughtsman, a lot of drawings, wet stroke drawings and pastels. So who is Pierre-Auguste Renoir? So Pierre-Auguste Renoir was born in Limoges in 1841, and he started to be an apprentice at the age of 13 in a ceramic workshop. There he learned to paint on ceramics and fans. I think this training was really good, very good to develop his brush techniques and also the glazing he used on the faces later in his paintings. I think it was a wonderful tool for him to develop his eye. It actually made him redundant because they were moving into automation. He decided to apply for the École des Beaux-Arts. In 1864, he integrated the atelier of Charles Gleyre. This is where he met Claude Monet, he met Alfred Sisley and Frédéric Bazet. And as a group of painters, these were instigating the movement of Impressionism painting. Why? How did this happen? Because at the time, they were pretty frustrated with the salon who were representing academic painting. Painting was all about biblical images, symbolism, a lot of drama like Baroque Renaissance painting. But they wanted to move away from that. How did they do that? First of all, they went outside. They went to the forest of Fontainebleau, and where they were painting with natural light. So they were painting real life scene. And you can see how Impressionism was really the instigator of photography here. Impressionism, for the first time, it was about painting real-life stories, something fleeting moment of joy, people gathering together, human connection, and not something that was staged or static. So Renoir became a painter of real-life scenes. And for me, it made completely sense. His son must have evolved in this real-life scene painting, also the beginning of photography, and I'm not surprised that his son, Jean Renoir, became a film director. So we can wonder, how did Renoir paint such large scene if he was painting from outside, from real-life scene? Of course, he couldn't paint these real large scenes in one go. So what he would do sketches, drawing, and then go back to the studio. And there also he would use models, friends, writers, lovers, his wife Alice as models. In his large painting, most of the faces were known people. Sometimes he had trouble finishing a large painting because his model went wrong. I absolutely loved all the painting at the exhibition. They just gave me a wonderful feeling. Of course, I'm a photographer. I love photography. I love family photography. I love photography which is family gatherings, people together, having joy, having fun together, and these paintings were all about that. He was definitely focused on sharing joyful moments with us, maybe to take us out of the grim of what was happening in France at the time. What was a bit difficult about the exhibition were far too many people. In the age of social media, this is happening for every event where you can create content for out of it. I am here as well creating content about this exhibition, so I'm not gonna say more. About the exhibition, what is good to know? So the exhibition is taking place at the Musée d'Orsay, which is an old train station, absolutely beautiful building if you have ever been. But what is good to know, with your ticket to the exhibition, you can also go and see the permanent exhibition. So I definitely recommend that you plan enough time to stay and view the permanent exhibition, which is mostly about Impressionism painting, which is absolutely gorgeous. There's a late opening on Thursday until 9:45. You have to know that the museum is closed on Monday. You definitely have to book. I'm not sure you're going to get into the exhibition once if you don't book ahead, especially now that the exhibition is going to close on the 21st of July. I think it's going to get more and more crowded. So the takeaway for a photographer, what can we learn as a creative photographer, maybe art lover, about this exhibition? This exhibition was really eye-opening for me because I think as photographers we could see like a painter, but we tend to forget. We tend to forget about color, we tend to forget about light, and we would focus maybe on the technical side, on perfection. So this exhibition is an invitation to walk away from that, and I'm going to give you some takeaways with it. This exhibition is really, I think Impressionism, the movement, is really anticipated what photography would do in a few years later. It's really because they moved away from the academic painting, from the biblical symbolism. They moved away from that to paint real life. So we're learning more about the life of people in the late 19th century. I absolutely love the softness of the image, the brushstroke, which reminded me of the photography of Sarah Moon. Absolutely love her photography, and we're very lucky because at the moment there's an exhibition of Sarah Moon's photography at the Michael Hoppen Gallery until the 17th of June in London. So I will go and I will share my findings with you. I think it was really painting what camera would obsessed with in a few years' time. I think fleeting moment of joy, family gathering, moments that people wanted to remember. I don't know if he was trying to do that with his painting, but definitely there's a lot of sense of joy, remembering good moments. And he was also painting his friends, lovers, everybody in his circle around him. The use of dapple light, that was really eye-opening. In some of my portraits about the women in quiet rebellion, I created very harsh contrast. Why did I do that? Because it was inspired from Renaissance painting. So Renaissance painting and Baroque painting is all about contrast, drama. So how do? You create that? You create that with strong lighting. And really, his painting is not all about that. Because his painting was, first of all, the idea was to be painting in natural light, not in a dramatic lighting like the academic painting would do. So we'd use natural lighting, and what natural lighting does, it has softer transition between light and shadow, and this is really beautiful. This is something I'm really rediscovering because I used to start as a natural light photographer, but I understood the limitation and I learned lighting and it was mind-blowing, mind-opening. But I think we can go back to natural light as well to create a different effect, to create maybe something with more emotion. And I think the most important thing is the transition between light and shadow, which is much softer than when we use studio lighting. So the light he was using in his painting is a bit like, it's an invitation to dance. I think especially in the bal du Moulin de la Galette, I really love how you have touches of paint. Our eyes is following this light, and it's really an invitation, like our eyes are dancing around the painting. Maybe this is effect what he wanted, but definitely you have a sense of movement through the touches of the light, and it was representing how the light was foliage through the trees, how it was lighting the faces, and even how it was lighting the clothing. When you look at this painting here at the Moulin de la Galette, you see there's really touches, little spots of light on this blazer. And this is really nearly an effect which makes me think of the bouquet that you create when you use large aperture. In a way, I think he was solving what we're trying to solve, but creating how can we create softer transition between light and shadows without losing the atmosphere of what we want to talk about. It's great when we use softer transition. It's also a softer transition between the foreground and the background. And I think this is great as an invitation to invite us into the picture. When we're following the light in his painting, we go from the foreground, we go background, and then we come back into the front, looking at the people, looking at the faces, maybe imagining what are they talking about. And when you see in this painting, we can just imagine the conversation. And also, because it's painting and it's not academic painting, it was using very soft focus, it was more touches, we can guess the faces, they're not really represented like in a Renaissance or Baroque painting. And this is also something that is more inviting us for imagination. This is something also that we could apply to our photography. A portrait doesn't necessarily have to be in focus all the time. We can imply blur and motion. Let's compare it, for example, the effect of something which is really like very much in focus, like a photography of Martin Parr, who was photographing people on the street as well, but he wanted something looked very commercial, very like an advertising, so it's very much in focus. And he was using flash photography as well, so it represents very close to advertising and commercial, and this is what he wanted, of course. But if we want something different, we want to recreate intimacy, maybe we want not so much to put focus on one face, but we want something a bit more out of focus or blur motion, so the people looking at the photo can imagine the story themselves, not necessarily associate with the person in front of them. Looking at this painting is also an invitation for us to let go a little bit of the technique. Of course, it's important to know your camera setting. The more you know, the more you can free yourself from that. It's very much about trying to walk away from the precision, from the technology, and using the camera as a brush, as something to create, to paint, to send a message. How many times have we missed a photo because we obsessed over the settings which were not right. We obsessed over the light, over the aperture, over the shutter speed, but then it was gone. And sometimes we tend to forget, we focus too much on gear and not enough on story. What do you think? Let me know. I think Renoir and the Impressionists were really setting a movement of rebels in painting. Definitely. Can we photographers be rebels as well? Not trying to move away for everything we have been told. What do you think? Let me know. Can we be rebels? So in this image here, I show you, this is image which I wanted to represent for the summer night, the longest day of the year, 21st of June. And I wanted something about recreating a dance, recreating movement and blur. I absolutely love this image. We don't know who she is. We can just follow her dance, and that's the idea for me. I love to use blur and motion in photography. The color palette is also something that we can work from. I notice a lot of green, blue in his painting, and as photographer, maybe we can constrain us to use a color palette to create, instead of creating one image, we can create a series. So it would be about finding the touch of light again in every image that you create. So it doesn't have necessarily to be the whole image within one color palette, but maybe you want to focus on a red patch or on a blue patch, but something that we're gonna find in the series, which is gonna create continuity. And maybe sometimes as photographer, we don't think enough about color palette. We just think about taking a scene, capturing the moment, documenting, creating something, but then we tend to forget about the color palette. And I think this is something very interesting is telling us here. Do not correct the white balance. Why I'm talking about that, somebody standing in the foliage. And here in this portrait, I absolutely love the background, the foliage, and the person standing in it. And it was really about not trying to correct, to give the exact white balance, because I wanted a bit of green in the face, because I think you can see a bit of dark green in the shadows under the chin. And I wanted to create a softer transition, so the person, the background would integrate with the person. I don't want you to create a harsh transition between the background and the foreground. And this is something that we can play with. I think setting a model, having a white shirt, setting then under white dark foliage. I know there's a lot of things about the green cast. Maybe don't choose the lightest green, but I think something like this, like dark foliage, can work really well. It's just about exploring, experimenting, so try that. You can always correct the right balance if it's not working for you. The color of the light is also something that we can consider. I love using Cinestill 800 tungsten light because it has this blue tint. So as you can see here in the street photography in Vienna, I absolutely love the same tint of the sky. So this is something that we can use as well, trying to use the same temperature in a color series of images. And shadow contains color. Yeah, this is how you're gonna create a softer transition. Instead of having harsh shadows, black, try to have your shadows reflecting the natural light, which is going to be more blue, maybe a bit of yellow. But also you could use dark green, you could use purple. Instead of trying to create a harsh contrast, try to integrate the shadow. I think it's going to be diffused much more in the different colors in your image. For example, in this image, I love the blue light on the face. It might not be ideal. Somebody might say, yeah, this is not working for a portrait. For me, it's absolutely working because the shadow is diffusing into a face. It's creating an atmosphere, and this is what I wanted. I think the main takeaway we can take from this painter, I think, is definitely learn again about color palette. Learn again about softer transition, creating between light and shadow. Don't be afraid to put color into your shadows. This is on also using blur, motion, fuzzy images. I think it's just relearning, rewiring our brain to see a bit differently. And maybe you already do that, and I would love if you would share some of the images in the comments. I think sometimes we're just too focused on this heavy machine, the camera we have on our hand, and then we transform into something like a computer. Yeah, shutter speed, aperture, light. Of course, this is very, very important. But then we tend to forget a little bit of the joy of using photography. And I think also he's inviting us for more joy, because all his scenes, his fleeting moments, what he's representing, people going to a ball on a Sunday afternoon, it's about life, it's about people around us. And I think we could maybe go back to playful and joyful photography, about maybe using posable camera, snapshot camera with films, trying to photograph whatever we want, or photograph friends and people around us, people having fun, people having joy together. It reminds us that atmosphere sometimes is much more important than detail. Atmosphere, what do you want to say? How you want people to feel in front of your photography? At the end of the day, why do we photograph? We just want to hide these pictures, but we want people to feel something, we want to share something, and I think it's even better people standing in a gallery and looking at your image and feeling the atmosphere, feeling what's going on. Don't be afraid to use softness between light and shadow to create softer transition. And don't be afraid to create portraits which are blurry with motion, just to create an effect, an emotion. Think about what you want people to feel about that. I think his painting is definitely a lesson in creativity, and maybe as photographer we should go and see more painting exhibition, because this was really eye-opening for me. It was a wonderful lesson to remind me that to step away from the technology, be a bit more like a painter with a brush and colors, and use touches of colors, touches of light. Think about, where do I want to put the light? What type of color do I want in my images? Walking out of this exhibition is inviting us to look at everyday beauty differently. Just seeing when you walk out, or maybe just walk on the street, just start to remind yourself, how does the light fall on this building? What type of color palette? What is attracting my attention? Let's go and walk on the street like a painter. I'm sure Renoir was walking on the street and thinking about light, shadow, the scene he wanted to paint. So let's go out again, maybe without a camera, just thinking about, or maybe taking even a sketch of ideas and taking notes. And I've seen this building, I like the color palette of it. Maybe I can use this wall as a background in a portrait, or the light is really beautiful falling here. Noticing, like these painters did. It was really eye-opening for them to be able to go outside and paint outdoors. And maybe the real gift of this exhibition is just to walk out and see differently. So let me know what you think about my findings. So let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to share more with you. Stay tuned.